Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Mr. Ortiz, and we're going to do our Algebra 2 review. So definitely, I'm going to focus more on the calculator technique than by hand. Um, and so those of you doing it by hand, if you want to check with me any of your work before you start that test, come and bring it up to me. Okay, we're going to start by adding our coefficients. Remember, if you do not see a number in front of a variable, we're missing it. And it may even help us to fill in our zero gaps. Like this equation is 3x plus 0y plus 1z equals -1. Okay, so we're going to start by making our system of equations. Or I'm sorry, we have to make the matrix, get the row echelon form matrix, and then we can write that system. So we first start by setting this up. So -1, -1, -3, -9, 3, 0, 1, -1, 1, -5, 1, and 23. And if you're looking at this and you're still not knowing where did these things come from, this column is your column of x's. So it came from each part of the x's. The next column is your column from the y's. Now one of the things is I want them in this order, x, y, z. And the last one comes from the z's. And finally, the numbers that they equal on the other side are where we got those guys from. Okay, so now what do? We want to go to the calculator, and our focus is to use REF. And it's going to give us a matrix, and that's where we're going to come and copy down here in just a moment. All right, so let's go set this up. So I start by making a calculator page. And menu, and we want to go to matrix and row echelon form. Now menu again, matrix, we want to create it and a matrix. So when we talk about this particular matrix, these are our rows. So we have 1, 2, 3 rows. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Use tab, change that one, and okay. Okay, and we just want to start typing in those numbers, so I'll have to jump back and forth to see them. So -1, -1, -3. So starting there, -1, tab, whoops, -1, tab. Oh, geez, I think I messed up here. Let's go take a look. No, -1, -1. The next number is -3. That mouse is in the way. So if you notice right now, I forgot my negative sign there. And so as I'm double checking my numbers, that's a big issue. Okay, -9. Okay, down here, 3, 0, 1, -1. Tab makes it really easy to move between these cells. That's what they're called. Last one, 1, -5, 1, and 23. Whoops, I forgot what it was. Okay. Okay, I want you guys to focus on this part right here, that you should be getting something nice down here. We're giving you really nice solutions for the regulars. So if you're not getting 1 and some number, okay, go back and double check your numbers and your signs. Okay, so this is what we need, and this is what we want to copy down. And I'm sorry, ladies and gents, but I'm going to cheat. Okay, so after cheating, what do we do now? We're going to write a system of equations, and then we're going to solve it using nsolve. So remember that up here, those are my x's, my y's, my z's, and my numbers that they equal. So I'm going to get an equation here. So on top, let's write this. So my first equation is 1x. We have 0 y's. I'm not even going to write them. But we have a positive 1/3 z, and it equals a negative 1/3. Over here, we have no x's, 0x. I'm not going to write it. We have 1y minus 2 over 15. So because it's a negative value, we're subtracting. Remember, this is our z column. It equals negative 14 over 3. And finally, so we have no x's, we have no y's, but we have 1z equals 5. All right, so now we're ready to solve. And really, after this, this is where you guys were good, and you were able to do your substitution really well. So z equals 5, because 1z and z are the same thing. So we're going to take this and plug it in here. So we have 1y minus 2 over 15 z. And 2's and z's can look alike, so I'm doing the little thing in the middle to help me know that it's not that. Oh, where am I messing up? It's not z anymore. We know that z is 5. And then we know that this equals negative 14 over 3. So how do I work with this? Remember that we can nsolve it. And we're going to put this entire thing in there, that equation, comma the letter that we want to solve it for. So we're going to nsolve this guy right here. But remember that we have to go comma and the letter that we want to solve it for. Okay, nsolve is menu 3.1. Let's go set it up. All right, so I have 1y. And those of you who know that you don't have to write the 1 in front, you're fine not writing it. Minus 2 over 15 times 5. And it equals, I know it was negative 14 over 3. Arrow to the right. When it's big like that, now I can go comma and that letter that I want to solve it for, and boom. All right, so now what we know is y is negative 4. So we can come back over here, and what we'll record is now we know that so what are we going to do now? Substitute. So now we're going to plug in the z for z. But there's no y in this equation to plug in. So, well, we can just plug in the z. So what does this one look like? Well, we get 1x plus 1 over 3. But we're going to replace z with 5. And it equals a negative 1 over 3. Okay, so we can do it again. So we can go nsolve, comma, x this time. Okay, here we go. So 1x, so menu 3.1. All right, so 1x plus, control divide, I think it was 1/3 times 5 equals, okay, let's double check what we have. Equals negative 1/3, so everything else is good. All right, arrow to the right, and don't forget comma that letter that we're trying to solve it for. And now we know x is negative 2. So that's one way we can write our solutions, but keep in mind that we can also write our solution as an ordered triple, which is a point in 3-dimensional space. So the x value, comma the y value, comma the z value. And if that helps to write it like that. All right, so yeah, you're definitely going to have a really tough problem like this where you want to use that REF to kind of get that matrix. From there, you know your substitution. NSolve is a good support. You can still do it by hand, but NSolve, if you're struggling, boom, you got a way out. All right, so as we continue from here, remember that the planes that don't cross each other, that don't touch, there's no solution. And that one's pretty easy. So this one's no solution. Sorry about my phone going off. Here, two planes cross, two planes cross, two planes cross. Not all three planes cross. So here, there's still no solution. Over here, two planes cross, two planes cross. Yet again, all three planes do not meet. So there's our no solution cases. Think about the corner of a room where the two walls and the ceiling or the floor meet, and they make a corner. That corner is our one solution. So the best thing I can tell you, go look at the corner in your room. That corner where the two walls meet and the ceiling or the floor connects with it, boom, that's your tangible, real-world one solution. On this one, all three planes intersect. All three planes intersect. So there is a solution. But where they intersect, it makes a line. And what we know about lines is they go on forever in both directions. So there's an infinite number of points where they overlap. So because of that, there are infinite solutions. All right, so our next problem is, let's take a look at a word problem and how to set that up. Two of the equations are pretty easy, but there's going to be those compare statements that get you. One of the things we talk about is coins, and we're talking about nickels, dimes, and quarters. So if we don't know how many coins there are, we know how much coins are worth, nickels, dimes, and quarters. So we can say that our nickels plus the dimes plus Q. And right now you may be saying, what the heck does this mean? So let's put this on the side. This is a number of nickels. So then D is a number of dimes. So what I want you to stress right now is that we're not talking about money. We're talking about literally, if you had 50 cents in quarters in your hand, you have 2 quarters. We're talking about that, the number of quarters that you would be holding. So if I add up the numbers of each one of these coins, then it tells us our total number of coins. So that's my coins equation. Coins plus more coins is coins. So then the question is, where does the value of 490 come into? Well, go back to a nickel is worth 5 cents. That's 50 cents, just FYI. That's not a nickel. So 5 cents, but not just once. There's more than one nickel for all we know. So it's 5 cents times every nickel that we have. This represents how much money we have in nickels, plus how much money we have in dimes, plus how much money that we have in quarters. And if we add up all of that money, now that should be the value of all of those coins together. Okay, so the last one is our tough one. Last one's a really tough one. Look at how the sentence starts. The number of dimes is. What do you need to know about is? That's your equals. So our equation starts D equals 1 less than twice the number of nickels. This part right here, 1 less than. Less thans and more thans happen at the end of this expression. So what it means is we're taking away 1 from something. What are we taking 1 away from? Twice the number of nickels. And so our final equation looks like that. So we're taking away 1 from 1 less than twice the number of nickels. More thans and less thans happen at the end. All right, so let's keep it up. Let's go to that other side. and just so jump to the problem that you need to in this video. All right, so next. All right, I'm not going to do the one on the right-hand side right now. We're going to do everything else and come back to that one. But that one's your Gaussian elimination method. I'll set up the matrix. Well, we'll see if we got the time for that one. Okay, so remember, in a system like this, you want to take the equation that has one variable, and we want to solve it. And you can use nsolve on this, but ladies and gentlemen, you're too good for that. You should just go and divide it both sides by what's multiplying with the variable and simplify. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We're going to take this value and we're going to plug it in. Now be careful. I can plug it in here or I can plug it in here. I want to go to the equation that has two variables and uses this variable, x. Because if I plug it in here, I can't figure out y or z yet. But if I plug it in here, I can actually figure out what y is. So what we get is negative 2 plus 3y equals negative 17. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so then what do I recommend at this point? We're going to go through this kind of fast, so we're going to nsolve it. Yes, I could solve this by hand by adding 2 to both sides and then dividing by 3 and getting y equals negative 5. But I'm going to keep stressing that if that's what's holding you up, don't let that hold you up. So menu 3, 1. So negative 2 plus 3y equals negative 17. And we want to solve this, comma, y. Okay, so we know that y is negative 5. All right, so over here, so we know y equals negative 5. Okay, so now we're going to take this guy, and we're going to plug it in here. So we're going to replace the x with negative 2, the y with negative 5. Okay, so we get 4 times negative 2 minus 3 times negative 5 plus 6z equals 25. And what are we going to do? Now, one of the things I want to stress, those of you that you know you want to go into college, you want to study mathematics, engineering, physics, computer science, we need you to be able to do this by hand. We need you strong in that area, because that's just the beginning of what you're going to do. But if you're like, hey, that's not my intention, nsolve's a good way to go. All right, let's go set it up. 4 times negative 2, so we need menu 3, 1. Subtract 3, parentheses negative 5, plus 6z equals 25. All right, now comma z. All right, and now we know z equals 3. All right, so here, now we can say z equals 3. All right, so let's take care of the rest of the review, and then I'll come back to that last problem there that I'm skipping. All right, so coming down this way, let's see what we got. All right, number 5. The perimeter of a triangle is 19 centimeters. All right, let's do this. Let's draw the triangle. When you're getting into these problems, draw as much as you can. So we have a triangle, and that's a terrible triangle. Let me work on that again. Yeah, remember, I wasn't too good at art. We don't know that it's a right triangle. We don't have to draw that. We can. Maybe have something like that. So we know the perimeter is 19 centimeters. The length of the longest side is twice that of the shorter, and 3 centimeters less than the sum of the other two sides. Man, okay. So what can we do here? Well, they talk about the longest side. So let's call this one the longest side, let's call this one the shortest side, and we'll call that one the middle. So if we find the perimeter, remember perimeter tells me to add up all the sides. So S m plus l. So my smallest side plus the middle side plus the longest side. Okay, the length of the longest side is twice that of the shorter side. Okay, stop right there. There's two sentences here, and I really don't like the way that they set it up, but we can break this apart. The length of the longest side is twice that of the shorter. So that's easy. So 2 times the shorter side. But it says and. And so there it's kind of saying that this is, they're comparing it to 2 different things. So the other one starts with L equals. It's 3 centimeters less than the sum of the other 2 sides. Well, remember this happens at the end. So we know here that we're subtracting 3 from something. The sum of the other 2 sides. So that's the short side plus the medium side, and then we take away 3 centimeters from that. Okay, so some of the things that I can definitely tell that were not gone over in this review would be mixtures. So let's take a look. So the things that I feel like we didn't go over, I would definitely come and take a look at the length, the rectangle ones with perimeter. Those will be good equations to kind of look at. Those are your hints right there. The other ones to go back and take a look at would be mixture problems. Definitely come take a look at this one. This one's definitely going to be an issue. Come back and take a look at that one. Let me undo what I just did. Looks good. And take a look at the solution mixture problems down below as well. So those are the things that I can tell were not covered in the review. Double check yourself. Ask me to check your work as you come in from that assignment. Excuse me. After that, I feel like we covered everything that you needed for this test. So I suppose the last thing that I'll do is I'll do one more of the Gaussian elimination problems. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clear this out so I can have space here. Okay, so how we started. And we make our matrix. So we have 1, 1, 1, 1. Negative 2, negative 1, negative 2. And negative 1. Negative 1, negative 3. 1. Whoops, forgot that one. 1. Okay, so now we're going to do the REF. Oh, when you don't like seeing all of this on your screen, you can go menu, actions, and we can clear that history. Okay, so menu, matrix, row echelon form. Menu, matrix, create, and matrix. Remember, we have 3 rows by 4 columns. And now we can set up the numbers. So I believe it was 1s all the way across. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Okay, the bottom row. Negative 2, negative 1, negative 2, negative 1. That's kind of easy to remember. So negative 2, negative 1, negative 2, negative 1. All right, tab again. Negative 1, negative 3, 1, 1. Okay, I don't feel like I got the right numbers at the bottom row, so I'm just going to double check. Maybe I am right. Negative 1, negative 3, 1, 1. Okay, cool. All right, so that worked. Now we can hit enter. Okay, and remember what we talked about. We want 1 and some nice number here. No decimals, no fractions. That's going to tell you, hey, you got the right coefficients and the right signs. All right, I'm going to be cheesy again. Okay, so now we're ready to write that equation. So remember what we put up here, x, y, z, and equals that number on the other side. So I have an equation, 1x plus 1/2 y plus 1z equals 1/2. Here, there's no x's. So I'm going to start with y. We have 1y minus 4/5z, and it equals -3/5. And down here, so we have 1z equals 2. All right, so really, now we're ready to work with these equations. And the first one, that's nice and easy, is z equals 2. Really, that's what we could just write right there. Okay, so we're going to go and substitute that there. So we're going to get 1y minus 4/5 times 2 equals -3/5. All right. Make it easy peasy with NSOLVE to finish that off. And let's go get our y value. So what is y equal right now? That's what we're interested in finding out. So y equals what? All right, so menu 3, 1 again. So we have 1y minus 4/5 times 2 equals -3/5. And we want to solve this, arrow to the right, comma, y. Okay, so we know y is 1. Let's go back and record that. So now we're going to plug in both of these values. And let's color code with a little bit of highlighting. So now we're taking z, we're going to plug it in for z up here. We're going to take the y, we're going to plug it in for y up here, and then solve it. Okay, so we get 1x plus 1/2 times 1 plus 1 times 2, and this equals 1/2. Okay? And solve it for x. And ladies and gentlemen, we are done after this. So now we want to find that x value. So notice that the order of the variables changed in what we found. It's okay for them to change like that. They won't go x, y, z or follow any order. Go to oh, you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm lying. For these, when you use a Gaussian elimination and you get this row echelon form, you always have the z, then you find the y, and then you find the x. So I was a liar there. Sorry about that. All right, so let's go and solve this guy. What do we get? We haven't done it yet. All right. So menu 3, 1. All right, so 1x plus 1/2 times 1 plus 1 times 2, and it equals, I believe it was 1/2. Arrow to the right, comma, x. And awesome. All right, so now we have x equals -2. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our review. Do your best that you can. If you'd like to come in with a note card with some calculator steps, I have no issues there. I'll actually leave some note cards with a sub so that you guys can do that. A note card, you can put calculator steps or little hints about what you need to do, but that is it on it. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen, while I'm gone. I hope that you guys look at this review. I hope it helps you. And we got our test on Friday. Happy studying, ladies and gents.